while waiting for spare parts, I removed the wheels because these tires have 10 something years or 10 something years old, and I definitely don't want to ride them anymore. So I will start with the rear wheel because this is already lifted up, and this is a 27mm socket. So loosen it. Okay, this was loose already. Don't lose that washer. Now you can push the axle through. And now I'll put the axle back into place. And I'll clean all these areas later on that I can reach only when the wheel is out, so the brake caliper and all this stuff, so I will clean that pretty well. To lift that front wheel up, to get it out, I will use this motocross stand and this wood right here, and this is my first try lifting it up and get this wood underneath. This will be really heavy. Okay, I decided to use this lift. Maybe I can get it with that. I don't see anything. Okay. I think this works out. To take out the front wheel of this Aprilia, you loosen those screws because these will clamp the axle. And do this on both sides, or only on one side. Then you loosen this nut. It's loose already, or it was loose already. I didn't do it. Now, oh, it's not a nut, it's a screw. Take it out completely, and then you can push the axle to that side. If it's not going easy, you put that screw back in. So you use that screw so you don't destroy any threads, and then you can push it, but only use the screw to push. Now it's loose and should come out quite easy. And then you take out the wheel. And by the way, this tire was made in 2003. You can see it on this dot number. See it? It's week 11, 2003, so this is way too old. While cleaning the wheels, I figured out that this thing is wiggling a lot. And I want to know why, so I will show you how to remove it. So you remove this clip. What's the English word for this? German word is Sägering. I don't know. Anyway, you remove it. And then you can take this off. And what I actually wanted to do was to check these rubbers. Because these should, how to say that? These are softer than steel, and when the chain is pulling, it softens this a little bit. And when these wear out, it wiggles too much, but these look quite good. You will still see these marks right here, so I think they are okay. Nothing too crazy, so I will just clean this area and reuse these rubbers. To mount the sprocket back on, you just go the same way back, just after you checked all the rubbers, you put that sprocket in, put on that washer right here, and then you mount that ring. There's this, I have this special plier for these kind of rings. You can do it without, but it's definitely better with that. So these rings like to jump away, so it's better to have the right tool for it. After pushing in, I check if it sits all the way around. When you can move it around, and then it's sitting okay. So that's how you check it. But I want to replace that sprocket anyway, so I will remove the screws and take off the sprocket before mounting the tires. This is a 13mm head. I really enjoy to do work several times. That's why I mounted this ring before, just to remove it again now, because to take the sprocket off you need to remove that ring. I really enjoy this. Probably not. And on the front wheel I just figured out that this wheel bearing has a stuck point, or gets stuck at one point really bad. You can barely turn it anymore at that point, so I'll replace them because I have two of these here anyway. So I'll show you how to replace these bearings. First, you need to remove this seal. Be careful not to destroy this surface where it sits. I will reuse that one, so I'll clean it and put it to the side. Then I can remove this ring. It's for the wheel RPM, for the speedometer. So keep it, you have to reuse it. And then I usually use a hammer to get these bearings out. But I will use some wood underneath. Or no, I will start with this side because I have this area to push it out. So just put it on the floor. The old bearings are destroyed anyway, so I just use a The most difficult point is to get the first bearing moving a little bit, because between these two bearings there's a spacer pipe, and it has the same inner diameter as the bearing, and you can, when the bearings are pushed together, you cannot move this inner spacer. So first difficult step is to move the spacer a little bit to have an edge to hammer on. When the lower bearing is loose or moved a little bit, then the inner spacer is loose and you can move it. Then you have a better edge to push on. And always wear your safety shoes. So that's how it looks. That's the spacer. And that's the lower bearing. For the other bearing I will use a socket that fits right on the inner ring. Actually I've had that before, now I don't feel any bad point on it. Whew. I don't know why, but I think these weren't bad at all. You want to make sure to clean this area very well and check for any marks or wear on the surface, but this one is good. And by the way, don't ever reuse any bearings where you use the hammer on. Just don't do it. Now I start with the first bearing. When mounting them, just make sure that you can read the number on the outside. And now I want to get it in all the way straight, so I will use the soft hammer all around. When it's flush on the ground, you will hear it by the sound of it. And don't ever hit the inner ring, only hit the outer ring. Now it's nearly flush with the surface, and I will go ahead with this. Now it sounds different, and I know that it's all the way in. So turn the wheel around. Clean this area. Now you want to put in the spacer. Don't ever forget that. If you forget this, your bearings will last for, like, I don't know, for nothing, 50 kilometers or something. And what I check now is that the surface of the spacer is a little higher than the surface of this. Maybe you can see it. So this surface is a little higher than the outer one. And then the inner ring of the bearing sits again the inner ring of the other bearing. That's what you want. Now I can put that one in. Same procedure. And now the bearing sits again the spacer, so that's why I stopped. Now I put that spacer in the center again. And this feels much better now. No stuck point or anything. So what is left? Right. That ring needs to go in. And this seal, of course. New tires are mounted. And the wheels can go back in. So back they go. I put some grease on the axle. So I put that axle in a little bit. Then I mount the wheel. And you have to bring these brake pads in position. Okay, I forgot the spacers and I have to mount them before I put in the wheel, so I do it again. Okay. Now it's only this left. And one washer. And the actual axle lock nut. And this needs to be tightened with 100 Newton meter. But I don't do it right now because I need to adjust the chain later on anyway, so I will leave that for later. The front wheel is next. And before I start putting anything in, I will mount this thing for the speedometer. Just comes in here. And in goes the wheel. And you need the spacer right here. And the axle from the right side, but I will put some grease on it also. Also on the bigger part. Now you mount the screw from this side. When the axle is in, the next step is to tighten these screws a little bit. And when these are tight, I tighten this one to 80 Newton meters. And then I loosen the clamping screws again. And yeah, I will show you what to do then. Now I'll tighten this one to 80. And loosen these again. You saw that moving, that's why I loosen it again. But I can already tighten those to about 10 Newton meter. Now I need to unload the bike from my professional bike stand. So before tightening those clamping screws, what I want to do is I want to have the bike straight on the wheels and then move the front fork down a few times, so compress the front forks a few times without the brake, and then this axle thing will move in its position so the front suspension is not bent in any way. That's the goal of it. So let's do that. Now I compress the front fork just like that. And now this thing is in the perfect position. So now I can clamp it down. Job done. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and leave a comment if you like my videos. I really appreciate that. Bye.